This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, leading the league in podcasting entertainment.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. This is a Fast Break Podcast. I'm your host, Sean Anderson. Alongside me, as always, is Ricky Widmer.
What's up, guys?
And Dave Oster.
What's up, everybody?
I feel like you have been saying that less and less, so I'm glad you're bringing it back.
Well, I mean, last week,
glad you're bringing it back,
Sean.
Sean.
I didn't say it because
I just gotta go with it now.
It was the week off. I tried to do that conversation, and you weren't having that.
No, I wasn't.
You went straight on to Dave. So I'm like, you know what? That's how Sean does it. Got to go back to the what's up.
I needed to get to that D-Wade conversation. And
yeah, I know.
if we're going off popular vote here, Devin Booker won.
Popular vote.
Devin Booker
doesn't mean you're right.
Devin Booker says that I'm right.
I'm just saying, you know who else won popular
You're wrong.
vote, right?
You're wrong, Sean. You're wrong.
Not Trump.
This isn't the Electoral College. Anyways, we are talking about the starting small forwards in the 2017-2018 season. I still think it's 2016. We're going to be talking about the starting small forwards going into the 2017-2018 NBA season. We've done shooting guards. We've done point guards. I just want to clear one thing up. Andrew Wiggins was our 2. Jimmy Butler was our 3. If you're pissed off about it, I'm sorry. We can't do anything for you. So we were probably wrong. Oh, well. Anyways, let's jump into this. 30 through 21, we'll jump into this. First, for the YouTube people, if you're listening on Block Talk Radio, thank you so much. You got the whole podcast going already. You guys rock. If you're watching on YouTube, you're looking at 30 through 21, and let's go through the rankings. Starting off at number 30 is the Atlanta Hawks' Taurean Prince. At number 29, the New Orleans Pelicans' Solomon Hill. At 28, Justice Winslow of the Miami Heat. 27, we have Mo Harkless of the Portland Trailblazers. 26, we got Chandler Parsons from Memphis. 25, we got Josh Jackson, the Phoenix Suns' latest draft pick. We have Michael Kidd-Gilchrist from, I think, 24, Michael Kidd-Gilchrist from the Hornets. 23, we got Jumpin' Joe Ingles from Utah. And then CJ Miles from 22, the new Toronto Raptor, and then rounding out 21, good old Mr. Reliable, Trevor Ariza of the Houston Rockets. And boys, I want to jump to a guy of debate to start off with. Chandler Parsons, max contract last year, and played 34 games, shot 27% from 3, and was pretty much a complete bum. I think he started 3 games total, played 34.
It's a little harsh.
He was totally earned that contract.
Calling him a complete bum.
You get that much money, and he was hurt. And he didn't play, and when he did play, he was bad. I mean, he just looked like a completely different player this year. Coming in at 26, do you think we were honestly being too nice to Chandler Parsons?
Nice? No, I think that you guys were being perhaps a bit extreme. I think that what we saw last year at Chandler Parsons was not a healthy Chandler Parsons.
You did have him the highest.
What
you
a surprise.
Yeah, you had him at 20.
What a surprise. I'm sorry you didn't just drop him straight at 30 yourself. But no, look, he clearly wasn't healthy last year. He never was able to get into his groove. I think that this year we're going to see a return back to what he was able to do in Dallas. Not quite the Houston numbers, because that was obviously the offense. You could put up abusive numbers. We understand that. But what he could do in Dallas.
I mean, he was more efficient in Dallas.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. It's like efficiency-wise, he'll be fairly good. I think he's still, like a 14-point-per-game score. He's not anything amazing, but he's going to get back to where he should be, and none of this, awful, I'm Kyle Singler level talent, with a max contract.
Well, and even with that, too, if he returns to that, 14 plateau that you're talking about, getting back to the old Chandler Parsons, that's still not worth a max contract. I just want to say that. But
there's been bad contracts before. It's not the worst.
We just got to take it for data, right?
Yep.
Since he's on the Grizzlies, take
that for data.
That's true. But looking at Parsons, I mean, I don't want to give him credit until he comes out and proves it, because, I mean, he's been injured before. This isn't the first time he's been injured. He hasn't played 80 games ever. The most he's played is 76. Outside of that, he's hit 70 one other time. He's been consistently hurt. He's been a guy that has been very brash, and yes, I know that he has the talent. I mean, you look at his three-point percentage. I mean, it's unreal numbers he's put up. Career 37% shooter from 3. In the past couple of years before this last one, it was 38, 37, 38, and then 41 in Dallas. It's not like he's a non-effective three-point shooter. He's 6'10" with a ton of athleticism. He has the tools to become a good defender. He's great at driving to the lane. So it's the skill sets are there, and I just want to go to the thing that I brought up. And Ricky, you can jump in on this if you want to. He's the Jay Cutler in some ways of the NBA.
You mentioned
just because
that.
he's got the skill sets there, but we've never been able to see it into where his top level might be a top small forward in the league, because he's got everything there. He's just never been able to put it together, and he's getting money to do it.
You mentioned that before the podcast, and I can kind of see it. The big things that make it polarizing is, one, I don't think as many people hate Chandler Parsons as there is hatred for Jay Cutler. And 2, the big difference is Jay Cutler plays quarterback in the NFL. People expected him to be a leader, whereas Chandler Parsons, I don't know, we get that same kind of assumption for to be a leader. The thing that I find interesting for this year around Chandler Parsons is I kind of feel like what the Grizzlies are going to use it as is if he gets injured, we have a guy behind him in Tariq Evans. However, the thing that I look at it is maybe it's like, hey, Parsons, you don't have to go as hard. You don't have to play and stress yourself out. You can go out there, fit the system, fit the role, do what you can do to help the team. We got someone behind you. We got someone that you guys can split the time and we can have an equal kind of footing out there compared to running you ragged out there because we don't have anyone behind you.
I just feel that's just crap, though, because he just signed this like, huge contract. And for 4 years,
but the contract's done. The contract is done and set.
Even if you're not running him for hard, you're still wasting pretty much 2 years on that. And I just find like I can't give him credit because he's got a ton of skills. I mean, I haven't been able to see him consistently put it together. He hasn't been consistently on the court as well.
Okay, it was one bad year. I mean, you're burying this kid over.
This wasn't
1 year.
A bad year. This was an awful year.
Well, burying this guy
wasn't he able to hit 40%?
Same age as us.
He was.
I'm not a kid, Dave. I'm a man.
Fair.
I'm not 40 though.
He was awful. Fair. He was completely awful.
He was terrible.
And
but
right when he gets a contract.
You know what I think it was? He same route as Samson. He cut his hair, and then all of a sudden he puts this terrible garbage performance. The man
came from the hair. Came from the hair, Dave.
It was the hair game. That's my thought. Is where all his failure strives from. The injury helped, but
the thing that I want to mention about Parsons is just the fact that if he proves me wrong and goes out and puts up efficient numbers like he did in Dallas and is able to be around a 16 to 17 point per game score. Good on him, and then I'll rank him higher next year. But I'll be wrong on the Chandler Parsons trade and miss the boat. I don't really care.
Well, it's like you said. You'd rather rank him too low and be wrong than rank him too high and be wrong.
And I think that's why they did take the safe route and go get Tyreke Evans, because we've seen what Tyreke can do in a smaller role, and if he needs to step up, he can. So,
and I think we'll get to Evans in six-man since we didn't mention him in shooting guard or small forward.
Right.
I think his spot now at six-man might be very interesting because he is a guy that we saw early in his career be a guy with the ball in his hand and be really effective. Obviously, we won the Rookie of the Year back in 2010. And I think that I don't want to get into Tyreke Evans thing, but even if Parsons isn't able to play, Evans stepping in, I like that move. Yeah. So the other thing with Chandler Parsons I want to mention before we move on to other players is with Zebo leaving. You just expect that there's got to be a step up in Parsons' game because he's got to be able to be like that third guy that Memphis goes to behind Connolly and behind Gasol, obviously. Right. So, I mean, you got to see a step up in play for Parsons. I mean, if he doesn't hit that 15 point per game plateau and isn't efficient, I mean, is it a waste of a year even if you don't?
You're just stuck with him.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying is like, is it like what makes it not waste of a year?
I think if we can get back to 14. Points per game, like 44% from the field and 40% from three. Like that is fine with me. I think that's a good recovery year because I mean, like you said, he was abysmal last year. He looked bad. I don't think he ever was healthy, like consistently. He never got into his groove. So I think if you give me 14 points a game, solid shooting percentage, and be able to stay on the court. Like I'm looking for 60 games. I'm looking for 65 games probably is where I would expect to put him at.
Yeah, and
if I got that, I would be happy with Chandler Parsons.
And coming in at 26, I mean, it's something where there's a lot of room to grow, and I think we'll talk about the growers later on in the segment. But the guys that I do want to go up the rankings. Taurean Prince was just, I mean, iffy in his rookie year. He's a rookie. I don't expect too much in the starting lineup. We don't have a lot to talk about.
Hawks,
yeah. I mean, honestly, if this was,
he has an opportunity. That's the best thing.
And he's got potential. I mean, you saw him at Baylor. He was an efficient scorer. He's got the ability to become a good 3-and-D small forward in the league. Solomon Hill, I think one guy that I want to bring up and just mention a little bit is, we've seen Solomon Hill be a guy that, his expectation is a 3-and-D, a guy like a Jay Crowder, but he hasn't been able to put all of that together, at least from the scoring side. Maybe Rajon Rondo's help coming in, maybe that will spark Solomon Hill in the ass a little bit, and maybe obviously DeMarcus Cousins and Anthony Davis working together alongside Drew Holiday, and then also our boy Ian Clark as well.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe Solomon Hill gets a little bit of pressure off, and we see that efficiency go up, and maybe Solomon Hill himself can go up. Justice Winslow, obviously the one-dimensional kid over in Miami. Do we expect too much out of Justice Winslow?
I was really high coming out of him out of Duke.
No.
There
Yeah.
might be a
No, I
bubble over
was.
here that said...
You were?
Yeah, I was. I was really high.
In
Like-
the redraft?
Yeah, how high would
I
you say?
thought
Like
what
number
in the
2?
redraft. I don't know what I had him at.
You
but
had 2.
Basically, I was really high on him coming out.
Pretty sure
and,
you had him above
Did not
Porzingis.
translate coming into the NBA.
No.
Did not translate at all.
You
He's
had him
another one
above
of those guys
Porzingis.
where if he could shoot, great. If not, you still have a solid athlete, and he'll find his own kind of niche. And obviously last year he was hurt, but again he'll have opportunities.
You think he finds it this year?
I don't think he's gonna shoot well. I think he still can take it to the hoop and be okay doing that and being a defensive player.
Do you think he becomes Do you two think that he maybe possibly becomes the next Michael Kidd-Gilchrist?
Oh God! I mean, his shot's not that ugly, is it?
I mean, I just don't have
Kidd-Gilchrist's so good defensively though.
my expectations for Winslow. It's kind of the polar opposites. Where coming in, it was way up here. Now it's like the floor. It's
Give
like
me
you
something.
know what, like whatever. Like you're out there. That's how I look at it. It's like you're out
You're
there.
already moved on.
You're out there, and it's like when I think of the Miami Heat, I think of Waders County and not
hold on, Goran Dragic and
yes,
Whiteside.
Whiteside. That's what I was
you
thinking of.
you
I
can't
almost
say
said Haslam, and I was like, who the
he's- I'm
fuck thinks?
pretty sure Haslam's still on the team, right?
Over Whiteside though.
Potential.
Whiteside was the guy I was thinking of.
Yeah.
The thing with Waders County, you can't say Waders County. We said Waders County, and some guy in the comments was pissed that we
Don't
said
worry,
Waders County.
it's Waders County. He's just holding it until D Wade comes back. Then
Somebody
it's Wade
doesn't
County.
browse Reddit.
Anyways,
That's all.
we talk Mo Harkless. There's nothing really to talk about with his game. He's good.
He's consistent, but he's limited in his role because
Yeah.
of being in Portland.
I mean, you have two of the best, backcourt. You have one of the best backcourts in the league,
Yep.
and then you have Nurkic as well.
Yeah, who's coming just kicking
So
the door down.
as long as Mo Harkless doesn't honestly, if Mo Harkless just stays nameless, he's doing his good job. He's doing a
Absolutely.
good job. Like honestly, no one's like, oh, Mo Harkless, what a player.
Stays nameless.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, as long as Mo Harkless is contributing, he's fine. Chandler Parsons we already talked about. This is the guy that I want to talk about, though. Josh Jackson of the Phoenix Suns. We put Josh Jackson over T.J. Warren. We obviously think T.J. Warren's further on his progression. I think T.J. Warren's really good, and I think when we get to the sixth man, I think I'll show how much love I have for T.J. Warren.
Yeah.
However, we want to talk about Josh Jackson, and we want to talk about how he is going to do. To compare a little bit, Ben Simmons is in another rookie small forward is way higher than him in these rankings. So, what is your expectations with Josh Jackson? Obviously, he's on a rougher team than Ben Simmons is in a rougher position in Phoenix. What are you expecting out of him? Because I think, Dave, you even mentioned something about Justice Winslow and possibly Josh Jackson having some overlap. Ricky, what do you think about Josh Jackson in Phoenix and how he's going to produce?
Well, my whole thing is when I look at the Phoenix Suns, obviously Suns fans or Devin Booker fans, one of the two, showed us their love for him last week. I want him to be I kind of want to say the Robin to Devin Booker, where it's like, you know what?
I don't think you've ever used that analogy
Every
before.
great person in the NBA has had a Robin or a number two behind them. If Devin Booker is going to be the eventual leader, number one of this team in the future, he's going to need that guy to fall back on. That could be Josh Jackson.
Do you think that Devin Booker is the number one and Josh Jackson is the number two for sure?
Yes,
do you think
that's
Josh
what I think.
Jackson can
That's
jump
what I
him?
think it'll start to go with. I don't
Oh,
know
it'll
if they
definitely
will
start
work
like that.
together.
I'd say.
That's the thing where I want to see in time how they work together.
No, but my question is,
You're
do you think
saying
do you think Josh Jackson, not
It
obviously
will-
this year,
if Jackson will eventually be the
If
number
Josh
one,
Jackson will be the
no,
go-to.
No, I think Devin Booker will be the number one, and if he's not the number one, he's not on the team.
I think
ask-
I'm on the other end of that one.
why exactly that? And
Because
we'll go to Dave.
I feel like not necessarily the fan base, but I feel like the team is going to go, no, Booker's our one, and Josh Jackson's going to be like, okay, I guess I'm the number two. And it, not saying it shouldn't be the other way eventually, but like it's going to be like, no, Booker's our number one, and they might force that.
Obviously, Dave and I have the We Agree podcast, and I'm on his side.
Unless it's
but
D-Wade.
Yeah,
Unless it's
I want
D-Wade.
to hear your reasoning, and I think we're going to be along the same
I
lines.
mean, for me, Josh Jackson has the higher top end because he's a two-way player. And the fact that he comes into the NBA with the physical tools and with the agility, with the speed to play defense basically 1 through 4. And I know going forward, it's only going to get better as he continues to develop his body. He is a fairly scary scorer when he drives to the hoop. He's very physical, I can see potentially him getting to the line a little bit more. But defensively, he's just everywhere. He's on the boards. He's always active. He literally like Energizer Bunny out there. He never runs out of steam.
Do you think he'll be able to bring that to the NBA though?
I do. I think that's one thing this Phoenix team is, because they're all so young, their play style is going to be catered to that, and it's going to let them kind of run the way they want it to. And look, I think Devin Booker is a tremendous scorer, and I think he's a pretty good player, but we've yet to see him do anything on one half of the ball. And to say that Josh Jackson could be a more complete thing is a fairly safe bet. And that's why I think that just top end, just watching what we've seen coming out of college, I would take Josh Jackson.
Well, the thing that I want to bring up is that I feel like if these two do hit their peaks, I feel like Josh Jackson could be the John Wall and Devin Booker can be the Bradley Beal, because we look at Josh Jackson, high energy, can drive to the hoop. Obviously, he needs to work on his outside game, but also an underrated part about Josh Jackson's game is his ability to handle the ball and his passing vision and his ability to pass. I mean, we saw it in college. He was able to control the ball, and I feel like if he's able to turn into a point forward, having a guy like Devin Booker that he can pass off to, like John Wall has Bradley Beal to go to, I feel like that could be a deadly one too. However, I see Josh Jackson with the more assets, both on the offensive and defensive side. He's going to be more of the go-to guy, and especially with the league going to more of a wing-focused league, I think that Josh Jackson, especially being able to hold the ball more and then being the distributor, where Devin Booker is more of the guy receiving, I feel like that's going to be the thing to play out. But again, we don't know how it's going to happen, because Devin Booker has been in the league for 3 years, and Josh Jackson might not stick.
There's a huge wrench that could get dropped into this situation if by some miraculous way Kyrie gets traded to the Suns. Then it's like, no, move over, kids. But now Kyrie's the number one.
The Suns are saying that Josh Jackson isn't going to be traded.
They're saying he's safe. I mean, and the only thing to knock on his game, again, this is way early, but like, his three-point shooting has not been fantastic, not been consistent.
In a league that now it's gone more towards the three.
Yeah, that's the only thing to worry about.
He did have nice numbers.
At the end of the season, he rounded out well, but then the summer league, he was just no.
Well, yeah, it's different too, because
he shot
Phoenix,
like 18%.
In Phoenix, you're not going to be getting these open looks like you were getting him in Kansas.
Yeah.
I think he really thrived on the baseline, if I'm correct, shooting threes from the baseline of college. I just feel like those looks aren't going to be there, obviously, when he moves to the NBA. And also, Kansas was a great team. Having Frank Mason alongside him, he was able to get shots set up even when they were playing high-level competition, and then moving that back, having guys in your face, and then also not having the same open looks and creating your shot from the outside. I feel like he's going to struggle with that. But he does have the ability to create his own shot, and then if he does find that stroke, I feel like Josh Jackson will be good. And I feel like if we're talking largest riser, I think Josh Jackson definitely has the highest ceiling for sure. The other guy I want to talk about is a guy that we were weirdly debated. We're going to jump over Michael Kidd-Gilchrist. The guy doesn't have too much offensively, but he's a fantastic defender, like Dave mentioned. We're talking about Justice Winslow, but jumping Joe Ingles.
I thought when you were saying the guy that could be the biggest riser is Josh Jackson. I get it's because he's a rookie, but part of me is like, what about jumping Joe?
Jumping Joe.
If Joe, because the thing coming in with this Utah Jazz team that I think of, and I know Dave was kind of the highest of the three of us on Joe.
He was jumping on the building.
Yes, I get it. But he was coming off the bench last year. But how is he going to play this year without Gordon Hayward? So there's going to be more opportunity for him.
Obviously, with him starting,
with him starting now instead of coming off the bench. I am interested to see it because I'm not so confident in him, only in the fact of I wonder if it's you got those good looks because you were coming off the bench and now starting a different animal and a different way to get going in a game.
So, and using that great segue that Ricky had, check out the Onside Kick. He does that all the time with Mark Weber and the Primetime Podcast with Brandon Swanson. Dave, make the sales pitch about Jumpin' Joe Ingles, because you're the highest on Jumpin' Joe Ingles.
Honestly,
Jumpin' Joe Ingles, slow-mo Joe.
Yeah, slow-mo is Kyle Anderson. I will never give that up.
I'm just reading what Basketball Reference says, and
That's
the first nickname
is
slow-mo Joe.
Jump Jiving Joe Ingles. I think that the biggest thing that you guys are overlooking, perhaps, is the addition of Ricky Rubio to this team. One of the best facilitators in the NBA.
Still the loss of George Hill.
I understand. George Hill overperformed all expectations. I think we can all agree to that. He played out of his mind last year. So I think Ricky Rubio is one of the better passers in this league. And I think that undercrediting what he can do for opening up looks for other people on his team, Joe Ingles, I think, will step into the role of the starting small forward on this team. His usage will go up a fair chunk because, honestly, when you look at the rest of that team, obviously you still have Gobert, you still have Favors, but when it comes to, scoring, it's pretty much Rodney Hood and himself. So I think that while he shot amazingly last year, I expect the, efficiency to go down a tick or two because of the usage going way through the roof. But I could see him going from, a guy who averaged 7, 3 and 2 to a guy who averages 14, 5 and 3.
It's a big jump.
But is it not reasonable? In my mind, it's reasonable because of the situation that's made available in Utah.
You also have to look at what with Utah. They lost Gordon Hayward, obviously, and they lost George Hill.
Yeah.
So you made that up with the addition of Ricky Rubio, at least in the assist categories, but scoring, obviously,
and actually,
that's
I think
taking a
that
fall.
George Hill is probably a worse passer than Ricky Rubio as well. So I think they upgraded as far as we're concerned for that. But I mean, pure points, even if you just look at points removed, points added, like between Hayward and George Hill, you're losing out on almost 40 points a game.
But the other thing I want to bring up is obviously those two hurt for sure. But Joe, we're talking about how it's going to help Joe Ingles.
Exactly.
Quinn Snyder does run an offense that is based on getting everybody involved.
Yeah.
Because George Hill wasn't a great facilitator. However, he was a good enough facilitator to help the team.
Correct.
And that's the thing where Ricky Rubio might now, while he is a fantastic facilitator, how much are we going to see and how much will Quinn Snyder be able to use Ricky Rubio's skills to develop that in? So that's going to be interesting to see.
I trust in the psychopath.
I do too. That's why he was like,
I think
had
Joe
him
Ingles is
high.
actually really good with the ball in his hands. Like he is, I think, probably underrated in that aspect because he doesn't get the opportunity to do it because he comes off the bench that second
But
unit.
also he's playing the second unit. So how much of that is really going? How much is that
It's
inflated by
fair.
the second unit?
It's just one of those guys who I've got in my back pocket who I really have an interest in.
The other thing I want to mention is you said Joe Ingles was pretty much the second option.
I think that for scoring, it's Rodney Hood and then Joe Ingles. I think
that's what I said,
Gobert
second
is
option.
going to soak up a lot of touches, but I don't necessarily see them feeding him the ball all day.
The guy I wanted to mention, though, is Derek Favors, a guy that was very injured last year, only played 50 games, only started 39, was not even healthy, kind of like the Chandler Parsons situation. But before that, past 2 years, he was averaging 16 points per game. He was really dominating down low, at least offensively. He was efficient down there. And I look at Derek Favors, I feel like he is the second scoring option now with Gordon Hayward leaving if he's healthy. Because obviously Gobert can turn into something because, I mean, he's not that good of a shooter at all. He doesn't have a shot. But, we did see at least, what maybe DeAndre Jordan asked what he could do, Rudy Gobert, at least offensively. Or Hassan Whiteside, turning into that. I don't think he has the athleticism of those two, but I think Favors, if he's healthy, could really take over that second unit. So that second scoring option.
You still have ISO Joe on the bench and Donovan Mitchell, who looked amazing.
He was the guy that I wanted to bring up. Of if he I know that it's a rookie and you're going to ease him in early in the season, but when we get towards the end of the year, what is his role on this team, and does that play an effect into the, not necessarily the starting lineup, because I don't expect Mitchell to be a starter, but even that second unit and even mixing him in maybe with the starters?
Yeah, well, if they go small, then I'd probably see Hood sliding over to small forward, Ingles getting kicked out, and Mitchell going to the 2. But even then,
Potentially.
Mitchell
Hood
can even play
big.
the 1 too. Mitchell can play the 1 or the 2.
We'll see what happens with that. But I think Joe Ingles, I think you're high on him. I just don't think it's going to happen.
I think he's got a lot of room to grow there because of the opportunities provided. I don't know if he's necessarily going to kill it because of guys like Donovan Mitchell maybe coming in and taking some minutes, but we'll see.
And rounding out the top 20 or 1 is C.J. Miles and Trevor Ariza, 2 reliable veterans. Looking at this list real quick, Dave, who are you going with? Joe Ingles as your highest riser? Possibly.
I think Josh Jackson. It's hard to walk away from. I like Joe Ingles, but Josh Jackson's the most realistic.
Ricky, you in the same boat with Josh Jackson?
I kind of feel like you have to. I would love to say either Joe Ingles or Chandler Parsons.
Parsons, actually.
Parsons is the thing with me. It's. I know Dave mentioned the 14 and 45, I think, % shooting. You said, stay healthy. I just want to see you in a healthy season play more than 34 games. I'll just go with Josh Jackson just as the default. You're the rookie. You have more potential. I want to see what you do in your rookie year. Are you going to ball out that rookie year, or is it kind of be like Brandon Ingram where it's man, we were high on you, and then this rankings it's we're not that high on you.
Well, we will get to Brandon Ingram, but one thing I want to mention is Michael Kidd-Gilchrist. If somehow he finds a shot, somehow.
Do you remember how high I was on him last year?
Yes.
Yeah.
Very high.
Extremely.
If he somehow finds a shot, he played 81 games. I'll give him that credit.
He did that, yeah.
If he's able to find a shot, or if he turns into a monster driving to the hole, Michael Kidd, he's going to go through the roof.
Yep.
So we'll see what happens there.